shortened, and also in a certain English class here at Arroyo, there is a certain time for each set of amount of work, and one of those is reading, which takes up 20 minutes, and that will limit you with 35 minutes left to take any other classes. And overall, the classes are limited. The class time is limited, and so the students will not be able to understand the subject as well, since they are rushed to learn it rather than take time to understand it.
The period side also mentioned that they have more time to prepare for their AP tests. However, each period on the trimester will be 70 minutes long, about 70 minutes compared to theirs. And 8 classes last for the whole year. So instead of being rushed through each period, trying to learn everything, you'll have more time during each period to learn what you need to learn, because some teachers need more time to learn, or to teach, I'm sorry, and some students need more time to learn.
$50 seconds.
There are more classes overall, so students get to be exposed to more electives. So
Time's up. Okay, now period schedule. Go next. Okay.
You want to go ahead? Go ahead.
Oh, they mentioned something about summer school. Summer school is optional, but if you don't pass your class, you have to take it. But also, you can take advantage of the summer school and get more classes and learn more.
Yeah, that would make up for some of the shortcomings that would come with the period system. Also, I'd like to state that, Newark High, it was in a modified block system very much similar to this. It recently changed into a period system, and a lot of people were saying that they weren't sure how it was going to be, but they found out that even though they might lose a lot more time in the labs themselves, they could not cover the entire amount of work in, let's say, like a physics class or a chemistry class. They would lose up to a month of teaching that they wouldn't be able to get through to the students, because they would have less time, less amount of days to cover it, rather than, let's say, period, you have it the entire year. And they also made a point of saying that you can take the AAP class for an entire year. But when you're doing this, you're basically just turning it into a period. You are getting more time for that individual class, but you're losing time for other classes that you might want to take other than just the period system. Because as you see here, you have to take 3 of these trimesters, or semesters, to make up one trimester. Most classes just make up of 2 semesters. But if you're going to take it up with just one class, you're pretty much limiting yourself to, I guess, one more class that you can't take, because you're going to have that little quarter missing from it. So, I mean, you will get more time for the AP classes, which is probably a good thing. But the other classes, let's say the students who might need more help, like let's say in remedial classes, will lose time. And also, I just want to say that I'm out of time.
Okay, time's up. Now, trimester schedule. You're next.
You mentioned earlier that if a student takes AP class, that they will lose a class. But overall, since there are already more classes compared to the period schedule, those extra classes can be used to take the APs. Also, not everyone that takes it has to take those AP or remedial classes. Those classes are just a possibility or options for those students.
Okay, so also about remedial classes, I think it's much better for remedial classes to be before the actual class. So instead of like mixing up English 10 along with remedial English, wouldn't that kind of confuse you a little bit? And at the same time,
Okay. So, you want to...
How much time? You have a minute.
Okay. You mentioned how a student failed. If they fail a class, then right there they have a higher chance of like, just in case they fail, they don't have to go to summer school just to retake the class. They didn't actually take it at school, so they will not have to be rushed in those the short summer to learn all that material again. And
20 seconds. 20 seconds.
well, the trimester schedule allows teachers and students to go into more depth into each subject.
All right. Now period schedule, sir.
So with period schedule, there's no way to like not like there's something you can fill on time, but because the time is slower and short, students get to absorb material, the material faster, and you will learn the material, not just like learn it and forget it.
So yeah, that means that under the period system, since you have more time to remember these, most of the things that you're trying to teach you, for example, let's say like English class, you have better to remember the text that you're reading because it's maybe a little bit slower pace over a long, or it's maybe short. You have to read more outside of the classroom, but you have a longer period of time because you have a whole year to cover it. But the point is that you need to, in order to remember something, you would have to be exposed to it for a long amount of time. And I mean, in the short amount of time here, you may be given a lot of information within, let's say, one block, but you would not be able to remember it as well if you were given a smaller amount of information over a longer period of time. There's also in the period system, since the teachers will be more prepared, then the teachers will be more prepared in the period system because there are not many examples of the trimester system in this area compared to the amount of period systems that there are. So if, let's say, a teacher was to have some trouble, they would actually have information to go and be able to get more, let's say, examples of how they should maybe teach their classes. For example, Cache Valley High works on a modified period schedule, but it's very similar to what we may be possibly going into. And also, San Lorenzo High also is running under a period system, and that may also increase the likelihood of teachers being prepared. The possibility of failure would go down because the teachers have better experience and be able to teach the material a lot easier than the trimester system.
Okay. Now we're going to have each group present their last final rebuttals for about 2 minutes each. So trimester schedule, you're next.
The period schedule mentioned that it is easier to remember the stuff if it is taught over a long period of time, but it is just as hard to remember everything from the beginning of the year or at the end of the year. And also on the trimester, since each class is maybe split up, they have to teach a certain amount of stuff, and that certain amount of stuff has to be put in a certain way and organized so that each class teaches the same stuff. Therefore, by teaching all of that, everything that needs to be taught will be taught.
Also, with the trimester, you also got a chance to switch up your classes a little. So basically, our resolution is student success, and that includes going to college. And in college, you're basically preparing for your career. And with the periods, you're stuck with a set of classes that you may not enjoy for the whole year. Along with the trimesters, however, you can switch to a different class, which gives you more opportunities to explore more electives so that you can find out what you really want to be. And basically, periods are kind of holding you back because of that, because you don't get to really explore that many classes. See, like we have 5 classes per day. But even though it's not as much compared to the periods, in the end, you still get more classes taking trimester schedule instead of period schedule.
Seconds.
So by taking more classes, they're exposed to more classes, therefore that there is more possibility for student success.
Okay, period schedule. Your turn. This is the last say for your side.
The only thing that I can really say that it might make clarify some things, that under the period schedule you may not be able to switch